Okay. All right. Well, what I'm going to talk about today is Spain. This is a country that I've been visiting ever since my first trip back over in 1992. I have multiple degrees from Spanish schools. I've run study abroad programs, so I've lived there, studied there, worked there, and I just keep on coming back. My passport actually is kind of full with the Spain stamps. So the title I came up with was basically Spain, yes, but no. There have a lot of things that are very similar to the way we do things maybe here over in the States, but there are going to be differences. So the idea of Spain being an inherent contradiction, yes, I've really come to accept, believe, and even expect it every time I go overseas. So the first thing is when you show up, you land in an airport or if you're on a cruise ship, and so you notice the transportation. So first thing is, well, they drive there, right? Yes, but no. This is a country that, of course, was part of the Roman Empire. Roads are not very wide. It's not necessarily a very car-centric society like here in the States. They have a lot more public transportation, subways, buses. So if you got the money, okay, you take a taxi or you walk. So private vehicle ownership is not really an imperative. So if you do drive over there, that might be what the city street looks like. This is actually a photo from when I was staying in a hostel. This is the city of Segovia, and that's a typical downtown city Spanish street. It's those are always hit and miss. The question was, are there nice people in the hostels? Well, people are people world over, so it does. Yeah, I know. The name alone kind of makes you want to stay away from a hostel. Like, I think I'll go stay in a hotel. So if that's what the street looks like, it's not like you have, major interstates, multiple lanes. So if that's what the street looks like, the cars look like that. That is actually the very first car that was made indigenous over in Spain. Back in the 1950s, Franco purchased a license to copy the Fiat Cinquecento. So the 500cc, the half-a-liter engine, little dinky car. So Spain, during Franco's time, they founded a company called not Fiat, which is Italian, but Seat, S-E-A-T. So for Seat, that's the car. So again, why would they design the car to look that dinky and small? Because you're in a country that has all these old medieval cities with really tiny roads, so building, an F-350 isn't going to fit. So you see these really tiny cars. Now, Spain is not obsessed with a sense of nationalism regarding, however, Seat. Okay, that is their company. It is Spanish. They have manufacturing plants from different makers all over the world, just like the United States. We have Honda plants, we have BMW plants in our country. So over in Spain, here's a slightly wider street. This is basically in front of the faculty or the Department of Languages in the University of Cadiz, and you can see every possible inch of space is taken up. There is not enough place to park. So in Spain, they drive there, yes, but no. Having a car is very difficult for what we said. The land, the infrastructure just doesn't have a lot of space for parking and for having very large cars.
Well, it's a capital country, that doesn't look like the type of parking you want for 6 students.
No. But then again, hey, the idea is like, well, fine, let them walk. This is the police parking lot. This is also in the city of Cadiz. So this is the police station, and you can see the size of the police cars. We have Crown Victorias, Caprice Classics, a Ford Taurus. The size of a police vehicle here in the States is pretty big. They're little tiny hatchbacks. And again, if you can look, you notice the badging. Those are Citroëns. Citroën, I believe, is French. It's not even a Spanish car company. How many police departments have you seen that drive Hondas in the United States? We are very, very nationalistic regarding our law enforcement. The cars they drive are like Chevy or Ford. I mean, it was domestically made. Europeans don't care. So, okay, there is a police station in Cadiz, little tiny hatchback cars that weren't even made in Spain. They might actually send that larger van in the background Man, they have one. Like, could you send that one truck to come get the guy, please? But yeah, you can see there's not a lot of room. If you try to tell law enforcement in the United States that's your vehicle for all their gear and the rescue equipment, the body armor, the shotgun in the front seat, no, that they'd look at that and say, no, we can't. That wouldn't work. Blow a hole in the ceiling. Now it's convertible. Also, note on the screen, the emergency number is 091. I want you to remember that because there's going to be a miniature quiz later on. Here's another police car. This is from a very large city, also in the south of Spain. This is Granada. Okay, so Granada would basically be in the southwest quadrant of the peninsula. Now, the Granada, the Policía Local, if you look basically where the end of the blue and white checker is, there's the number to call the authorities. It's 092. Spain can't even agree to have one universal emergency number. Everywhere you go in the United States, you dial 911. There it's 92. Another place like 091. They don't agree. So the idea of unity, look, let's just all agree on one number and everybody, no matter where you go in emergency, you teach your children this one number works. They don't do that in Spain. And again, size of the cars. This was taken, you notice the damage in the background? I was with my friend Celia, she was getting her car repaired. So this is the parking area by mechanics. So the police were having the car service. In the background, that silver one, you can notice, the headlights busted out on it. Yeah, the cop didn't do it. Pedestrian traffic. So just because you have a road, again, it doesn't mean you necessarily can drive on it. So if you have these old, cute, historical sections inside of the cities and you want to promote foot traffic, you want to promote tourism, get the people to walk in, you just sit down, half of that road is already taken over by the tables. So the idea, you turn these old street things into sidewalk cafes, set those tables out, you just try to generate pedestrian traffic and make money. When everything is closed, they have to take the tables out, and then when the trucks show up in the morning to resupply, bring more Coca-Cola, more snacks, more food or whatever, then the tables have been cleared, so at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the delivery trucks can get there and use the road and to resupply the businesses. But during whatever normal daylight hours, you're just walking in the area, and it's only used for vehicle traffic to resupply. So you drive, but not all the time on the roads that you would think. Social habits. Okay. Smoking. When I first went over to Spain in 1992, the entire clause, all the agreements regarding the European Union had not been put into effect yet. So the idea is you went to many different bars, many different restaurants. If you asked for a no smoking section or you try to complain if somebody was smoking, they'd pretty much laugh you out of the room. I remember I went out with 3 police officers. We went to a place with the sign that said no smoking, and all 3 of the cops lit up. So the idea of are these rules? They're kind of like suggestions. If you're going to try to make a decision, you look for something. So this is the sign that says, okay, you can smoke. This is something that you really don't see in the United States anymore. For a long time, we said, well, we're trying to establish more non-smoking spaces until finally a bunch of laws saying, okay, we just simply can't do it in whatever area. So the European Union's logic is you should give the people the choice. And so businesses have a choice of what they want to do, and they put whatever sign up that they want. So if you know that you're running a bar, you got a sports bar, and everyone's going to smoke, and you don't want to lose your clients, you say, okay, I'm declaring my business a place where you can smoke. And they put the sign up. The cafeteria, where I was studying, of course, has a different sign. Again, the same universal symbolism, the ink, red, scary, don't do that. So there's the no smoking. So again, you see from the slides, you choose this or this.
So if they have food, you can smoke.
Again, it's entirely up to them. You could have a sports bar and they offer a tapas, they have food, but it's a sports bar. They're going to sit there and watch the soccer games. They're going to drink. They're going to smoke. If you say no smoking, you're driving away your clients, or at least the ones that obey signs. Okay. The sports bar.
Eating tapas and watching the soccer.
Again, soccer games last a long time. The idea of like they're only 90 minutes. I mean, it's got to be some form of like, yeah.
Keep bringing tacos.
At some point, you might say the bar owner is like just running a loop. All right. So then, what's in the past is past. Yes, but no. From the south, this is the city of Tarifa. So if I'm standing on the coast, that's Africa. So the mountains over in the distance, that's looking across the Straits of Gibraltar, that's Africa. So for, a guy growing up in the United States, it was always something that was on TV, it was in a book, so standing on the shore was like, yeah, you can understand now how this is the bridge between two continents, Europe and Africa. And then the map is a little sad, a little tragic, and the red is a horrible color choice and it's washed out. But the red is their translation into English. I'm going to read it to you. You are in Tarifa, the southest town of Europe. There was not a lot of money spent on interpreters or translators for that sign. So you can see the idea of Tarifa is not the place where Gibraltar is. So where it says Mar Mediterraneo, look up the little pointy peninsula thing sticking out. Okay, that's where Gibraltar would be, that peninsula. And then you go straight down south, and it runs a little sticky point out going to the east from Marruecos. Those 2 points, those are the 2 pillars of Hercules. So that's supposed to be the gateway. That's the Strait of Gibraltar, and that would be the unknown world. Okay, but as you can see, Tarifa is further south, and it's less of a crossing. And this is where Spain has to deal with immigration issues. Okay. So if you have people that are trying to go back and forth between Africa and Europe and stuff, and you're trying to get to Europe, you want to have the shortest possible transit. So this island, this area of Tarifa, also operates an island with a military base. So the military base has rescue helicopters, it has the ships, so when these people are trying to come over and they're building rickety boats and rafts and they're going to drown, well, the Spanish government has the resources there to go out and patrol. They bring them to this island, they have medical care, they're seen by the Red Cross or whatever, depending what their story is, and then they're processed back. So just like the United States, just like so many other countries in the world, right now, especially with the collapse happening over in Syria, you have immigration, you have human movement issues. And when people are trying to cross 9 miles of water with the highest wind speed and currents known, and a lot of people die and drown. So they put this island here, and a lot of the color coding on this map, it's restricted. So you can do some fishing and use a little bit of the beach, but a lot of it is acting as a military base, and you're not supposed to be hanging out there. I'm sort of amazed I was allowed to take that picture. Also, coming from the south, historically speaking, from the year 711 to 1492, you had a continuous history of Islamic, Muslim government population within Spain, within the Iberian Peninsula. So, architecture, the design of houses. So if you're in southern Spain, tiles, they're called azulejos. So tile design, geometric patterns is very, very common in southern Spain. So just, the idea, well, it's in the past? No. Even nowadays, when people build houses in southern Spain, they're white, they're bright, they reflect the sun, and there's still a lot of stone and tile work that came from Arabic civilization. So it's in the past, but it's still part of the present. One of the biggest monuments regarding tourism is called the Alhambra, which basically is Arabic for the Red Castle, and it's located in the city of Granada. And for a long time, it was basically the seat of power in the last surviving Muslim kingdom in the Iberian Peninsula. Now, after the Catholic kings, after Ferdinand and Isabel took over, after the Muslim government that existed was gone, the Alhambra fell apart. It was kind of abandoned. And so Washington Irving, an author, heard about it. It was basically overrun with squatters and hippies, or bohemians in 1829, not hippies. And so the idea is he wrote about this place and he said, I can't believe this place is in such crappy condition. This is a treasure. And so his writings about having spent time inside the Alhambra made people listen, we have something really cool here. We shouldn't just let it fall apart. And so efforts came about to restore it and preserve it and make it still vibrant. this is a photo from a distance of it. So this is the red castle. That's the Alhambra. It probably had a different color back in the, the 14th century, 15th century. The flags you can barely see in the top of it are basically the Spain national flag, the city of Granada flag, and the province of Andalusia flag would be the three flags that are there. There is an inscription basically saying, on this date, in this place, on January 2nd, 1493, the Catholic kings showed up and took possession of this castle in the name of Christendom, blah, blah, blah. And then to make the point, they also stated the date in the Arabic year. Not only 1492, but I believe it was 777. So the idea, they've said, okay, so whoever's reading this, but both calendars. Okay.
I've been there.
Inside, a little bit blurry, but again, tile. So, okay, tile designs, geometric patterns within Moorish architecture. Still, people are buying tile and decorating their homes that way. So that would be the original style. But then once Ferdinand and Isabel walked in, they started adding their own touches. So, okay, to make sure, like, oh yeah, look at this, it's mine. So you're putting the royal seal, the crown, plus ultra. This is the symbolism of the conquerors. This is now Ferdinand and Isabel have set up shop. So once they actually got a hold of this property, once the Reconquista was over, they based their government out of there for two reasons. One, they thought it was nice, and two, if it's just recently conquered, it's not very stable yet. You don't necessarily want to leave and take the army away. The locals might rise up again. So they stuck around Granada. This is what it really looks like. And again, you're talking about at the time of, within Europe, Christianity basically didn't know what bathing was. It was not very clean. It wasn't very hygienic. And so you're in southern Spain, near desert conditions, and all of a sudden they're in a palace with running water. So another good reason to stay. Very beautiful place. Do all roads lead to Rome? Yes, but no. So here, besides having a major civilization in your backyard for hundreds of years from Arabic culture, Roman. Rome took a very big interest in what is now today in Spain, thanks to a guy and some elephants. Okay. During the Second Punic War, there was a guy named Hannibal, and he had some elephants, and they also knew about the little tiny Straits of Gibraltar. The Carthaginian forces didn't have a very large navy, but they had enough to make some troop ships. And so basically, they go into the closest part and ferry back and forth until they moved all their troops into what we call Spain. Then they marched up the coast, they go through the Alps, they attack Rome, and Rome realized, we got to close that door. It's way too easy for them to just cross over and come into Spain and get into our territory and our business. We can't have that. So Rome got interested in taking over Spain in about the year 218 BC. So but first of all, that map is not quite accurate. It took them 200 years to really get everything under control. The last portions that they would have been able to get a control of is basically on the Cantabrian coast. And so, but they divided it into three provinces, Tarraconensis, Lusitania, and Baetica. So in the Roman world, they didn't say Spain, they said Hispania. And Hispania, that entire peninsula, had like three provinces within the Roman Empire. Now, in the north, there is this one region in the northwest by Leon, this Galerías de Orellana. It's probably Rome's second most productive gold mine. In Wales, they had a very profitable gold mine going on up in England. This is the other big one that was over in Spain. The Romans centered an army. Basically, it was the 7th Legion, the 7th Twin Legion, basically because the twins, Romulus and Remus, who founded the Roman Empire. They were based in the city of Leon. Their job was guard the gold mine. If people find out where we're getting all of our gold, that's kind of bad. So what they did is they found a way to blow up mountains without explosives. So, and I was one of those crazy people who climbed into the mine shaft. Not during the Roman Empire, but now, I'm not that old. So, Galerías de Orellana, you see a little photo at the miner? Yeah, you can do that. And I did that. Okay. See that hole in the mountain? I got in there. Okay, so this is... Oh, no, we all looked. They were like, no, greedy Romans. Yeah, they took it all. You know, we couldn't find any gold. You had to crawl through mine shafts. And once you get in there, so I'm standing on a platform looking like, what's that? Now I'm in the mole. And there's the platform. So you can see the striations, you can see the cut, see the patterns. Now, the way that they got the gold out of the mountain is basically they used fracking technology, they used water pressure and also heat. You superheat rock and then put cold water into it. The pressure of the water with the temperature change is going to fracture the rock. So what they did is this. The left-hand side is the cliff. First thing you do, you divert a local river for the water source. Then you dig straight vertical trenches and like little side tubes. Then you flood the entire thing. So you've gone into the mountain, you've dug out little lines, and then the compressed air and the water pressure and superheated rock on the right-hand side, you basically explode the mountain. They have people already set up downstream with nets to catch any of the runoff. So you blow up the mountain, if it just all flows away, there goes the gold. So you set up some people downstream, and then the big sloppy pile, okay, then you sift through it and you look for the gold. So you used water pressure by diverting a river to fill up the holes and the tunnels you dug into it, and then you blow up the mountain. Also in the north, this is the oldest functioning lighthouse in Western civilization. This was a lighthouse that's about 300 feet tall, built by the Romans. This is in the northwest corner of Spain in La Coruña. This is the lighthouse that was built by the Roman Empire. So the idea that even though, yeah, technically you went past the Straits of Gibraltar, but they would still be able to hug the coast. So, okay, you go past the Straits of Gibraltar to get to the city of Cadiz. Cadiz was founded by the Phoenicians even before the Romans ever showed up. And so you follow the coastline up, and then, oh, they know about England, and so you had some of the trade. Well, for all the rocky shores, the Romans even built lighthouses. Also from Rome, the church, the Roman Catholic faith. So all over Spain, you know, you always have these churches of various sizes. You have cathedrals, basilicas, regular churches, monasteries, convents, all these different buildings. This is the cathedral that's in the city of Leon. Arguably the second largest main window. I believe Notre Dame is larger. But so from the outside, you can see the architecture, the flying buttresses, you know, for supporting the additional weight. And you see this, it has recently been cleaned, so it looks kind of nice. If you go inside that same window, looks like that. In the front nave, looks like that. So it's kind of a huge contrast. It's very tall, it's very dark, it's very gloomy. But on a good sunny day, the light coming through all the stained glass, it's beautiful. But it's so big, it's so dark. I mean, you really need these stained glass windows, otherwise you're back in the gold mines like I was. And this is one of the towers. This is in the large cathedral in Santiago. So again, Santiago de Compostela, which was part of a very big pilgrimage route during the Middle Ages. English literature, the Canterbury Tales, basically talks about a bunch of travelers. They're on that pilgrimage road. So you can start in France, and you end up finally in a portion of Spain, Santiago de Compostela, and this is part of the huge, huge cathedral that was there. The Romans were not only in the north, they were in the south. So this is a map basically of major cities and settlements in southern Spain, because remember we said they had three provinces, Tarraconensis, Lusitania, and Baetica. So in Baetica, the Baetica section, you have all these different squares, all these different towns in Roman times for what we call Spain, in Andalusia in the south. The one with the circle was Bailo. Bailo was basically a town that specialized in making one product. It was called garum, G-A-R-U-M. It's basically fermented fish paste. It's like tartar sauce. Okay. Huge delicacy. Basically, you take Atlantic yellowfin tuna and you funkify it, and it becomes a paste, and they pay good money for it. So you can see, Straits of Gibraltar, they hired people from what we considered North Africa, as well as locals, and they went out, they caught the tuna, and they brought it back to the town, and they brought it to the fish factory. They made garum, and they sold it, put it in the amphora in the trade market, and it was a fishing town that made decent money. We know it made decent money. Here's a model of it. It was a pretty big city, pretty important, And you notice you have the amphitheater, you have the open market space. When you look onto the right, it's across a little tiny river and it looks like little tiny bricky things to the right. That's a cemetery. That's the necropolis. So the idea of, okay, you didn't get buried inside the city walls, that was the cemetery, that was the necropolis. It has two aqueducts. There's one coming from the northeast, flowing a little bit to the southwest, and over on the left-hand side from the west, it's going up to the northwest. So they had a water supply for fresh water. They didn't have desalinization plants back then. They're right on the water. And when you got to the section, you notice the four piers touching the water. The fish factory would be on the fourth pier, all the way over to the right-hand side. And this is where the Roman fish kitties live. Okay. The Roman fish kitties are actual stray cats that I have met who still live and hang out in a 2,000-year-old fish factory. It's like it's genetically programmed in their heads. This is where we're supposed to be. And in our group, only one guy got to pet the Roman fish kitties. So the Roman fish kitties in the factory were here.
It's like the cats in Hemingway's house.
Yeah. They know by now, yeah, this is supposed to be, but walking around here, there were stray cats, like, it was so strong it's still in the rocks. They can still smell it. I don't know. Maybe garum is so nasty the smell stays for 2,000 years. I don't know. But the Roman fish kitties lived here. Okay. So, and you can see the water, and so this is the town. That was the industry. They made fish paste.
Is that what you call them, or is that what they're officially called?
I'm petitioning the Spanish government for recognition, but that's what I call it. Yeah. Yeah. Roman fish kitties. Okay. You're kidding, right? This, yes, but no. Because when you walk around Spain, you see signs, you see things. This has got to be a joke. Okay. We're becoming a multicultural society, but also the global village. So especially when it comes to advertising, marketing, the use of the English language, you see things and you really don't know if you should believe it or not. Okay. The color scheme, the letters, selling donuts, they're ripping off Dunkin' Donuts. So this was a business that failed in the city of León. So the idea, also, Dupis, so the idea of somehow Dunkin' Donuts, starting with a capital letter D, and underneath it says coffee. They don't even say the word cafe. So they stole the English and tried to make it like, oh, it's donuts and coffee. This was a local attempt with the color scheme and the lettering to rip off Dunkin' Donuts. The idea of pedestrians that are coming back from a sock hop in 1952. She's got the little ponytail, and he's looking over at her, and they're talking and chatting, and maybe going to get hit by that car because they're not watching what they're doing. Pretty much. Ooh, how aerodynamic. Yeah. And it's bigger than what they normally sell. This one, I stared at it to the point that my teachers were worried about me. Okay. There's a story here if you can actually translate everything that's going on. The yellow sign says Autoescuela Vial. An autoescuela is where you go to learn to drive. It's your driver's ed program. What's underneath it? A bar. What's to the upper left? A lawyer's office. What's underneath the lawyer's office? A travel agency in case you can't beat it. So learn to drive, you have some drinks, you need a lawyer, you leave the country. All in one plaza. Sports store called After Bang. Yeah, I mean, you just look at it. It's a store. This is taken in the city of Granada. I'm standing about 100 meters north of the Plaza of the Battles in the city of Granada. It's 52 degrees centigrade outside in July. And I look up, and there's this store that sells surfer clothes, like Pacific After Bang. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm having heat stroke, but I'm pretty sure it says that something that stupid. Care to read that?
Please yourself with a train.
Yep.
Round trip through
Salamanca. And
Please yourself with a train.
yeah. coming to meet the Salamanca Monumental with us. I stared, I took a photo, and I went to the city government office and said, for God's sake, you have to change that sign. And I wrote out a better translation for them. And I don't know whatever happened. But when I saw that, I'm like, no, please stop. The 70s live.
Wow.
This is on the 3rd floor in a hotel in Madrid. So like you come out of the elevators, they have like a little lounge space. So this was 2014 in Madrid, shag carpeting, yellow, orange, and every nightmare that you may remember. Yeah, this is Austin Powers. So again, I just opened up, hit the button, elevator doors open. I'm like, no, you've got to be kidding me. So I had to get a picture of that. This is in the city of Toledo. The name of that store with the pirate skull is Scalpers. And and then the sign on the window says sales. Trying to use English. So again, okay, I don't think I understand if you're being scalped, besides anything with hair reduction, it means you're being ripped off, you're selling the illegal tickets, but yet somehow, oh, we'll just put English for our stores. So I walk around like, you've got to be kidding. Yes, but no. We have a situation where, again, when it comes to international marketing, products, branding, one of the rules of marketing is you never dilute your brand.